Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. And I know it's a late one, but I had to work today, so this is the evening review of the British Grand Prix. Now, I thought this video was going to be entirely about sprint race qualifying and a few incidents from the race. As it turns out, that's not the most interesting thing that happened because we saw an attempted murder on the track. So that is probably going to be the main point of discussion, but we are going to talk about sprint race qualifying as well, and a few little bits and bobs from the race. So remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's begin.
Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
It is really a shame that sprint race qualifying is not the most interesting event from this weekend's race, because it's a concept that I was very interested in, and I was interested to see if it would work, and I do have some thoughts on that. But let's start with Lewis Hamilton taking out Max Verstappen. It was a bad move. It was never on the cards. He was never going to make that move work. He has sent his competitor to the hospital and was rightfully punished, but only with a 10-second penalty, which didn't hinder him at all because the only driver able to stop a Mercedes is normally Max Verstappen, who is out the race because he was taken out. Huge implications for the championship. There is anger from everywhere in the world that isn't Britain. As someone who is British but not a massive Lewis Hamilton fan, my opinion of it is this deserves bigger punishment. This was a really dangerous move. Christian Horner is right in calling it desperate and amateurish. 10 seconds. Big deal. Max Verstappen's in the hospital. Now, he's not seriously hurt. He's fine. As far as I know. I haven't seen any reports of any kind of injury. He looked winded. It was a big shunt. But a 10-second penalty is not enough. There needs to be... I would hope that the powers that be have noticed that, and there will be some kind of punishment outside of that 10-second penalty. Now, the car was written off, so at the very least Mercedes should pay for a new one. They've done the damage. They should pay. I don't know how insurance works in Formula 1. If they just exchange insurance details and that's it. But at the bare minimum, Mercedes should pay for a new car. Or Lewis Hamilton should pay for a new car. Should he be banned for a race? Yes, probably. Because it's a problem with context. In terms of the championship, this is a big deal because Lewis Hamilton has cheated by taking out one of his rivals and capitalising on it. And Max Verstappen scored 0 points whilst Lewis scored 25 because Lewis took him out. It is surely then fair for Lewis to get a 0-point finish by not being allowed to participate because of a racing ban. But Lewis Hamilton does tend to get special treatment. We saw it last year when he had, I don't know if it was enough penalty points for a race ban or it would have made him one short of a race ban. But he very quietly had 2 penalty points rescinded from his licence so that he didn't have to have a race ban. So the FIA will probably do nothing, and that's a great shame because what it means is you can endanger someone's life, and it's fine. It's lucky Max Verstappen's okay. I would imagine if he had an injury that would see him miss most of the season, that people would be sensible enough to give Lewis the same length race ban because it keeps it on an even playing field. But context, Bottas and Russell, when they got together, would it be fair to give Russell a race ban? No, because Russell didn't benefit from it. It was much more, it was at least closer to 50-50. This was 100% Lewis's fault. You could say that was 75-80% Russell's fault. But also, in terms of the context of the championship, Russell isn't racing Bottas for championship points. There's no parity there. So, with Hamilton and Verstappen, it's much more important that a punishment fitting the crime is applied. And a 10-second penalty is not. It barely hindered Lewis. He still won by a fair amount. So I hope retroactively there is punishment. Verstappen has rightfully called Lewis's celebrations disrespectful. I would hope that Lewis has some kind of self-awareness to say, I was wrong and I'm very sorry. I don't know if he has yet. I'm sure there'll be some more mind games from Toto Wolff as well, because he seems to be the master of that. I don't like Toto Wolff or Christian Horner. They're both very slimy individuals. But in this occasion, Christian Horner is right. This was a desperate amateurish move from Lewis Hamilton, and the punishment definitely did not fit the crime. As for the rest of the race, well, we'll talk about sprint qualifying first. Was it worth it? Probably not. It was okay. The race itself was quite entertaining, but so was qualifying on Friday. The reason they're doing it is to put butts in the seats on Saturday at the actual event, which, fine if that works for you, but to set the grid, it didn't really add anything. I know we saw Perez spin, so it had big implications for him, and we saw George Russell drop back after a fantastic performance getting 7th. Otherwise, there wasn't a huge amount of change. Fernando Alonso did well to jump up to 5th, and then hold on, I think he ended up 7th. Other than that, I don't think there was too much. There weren't really that many people out of position. It didn't change anything a great deal. So I would probably just keep qualifying for most occasions. I'll decide fully after seeing it 2 more times this year, and then I'll decide if I think it's worth it. As it is right now, I'm going to say it's fine. And if that's how they want to do it, do it. But I wasn't enthralled. As for everything else that happened in the race, honestly, after the red flag, there wasn't much. Charles Leclerc managed to get past Hamilton after the incident, so he led away and he held off Hamilton up to the pit stops. He did a fantastic job. We saw Vettel spin again, which is, I don't think there's a driver on the grid who's spun more in their career than Sebastian Vettel has done in the last 3 years. I hope we aren't going back to those spinning days and this is just a one-off, but it is another Vettel spin. Everything else, there really isn't much. After Hamilton's pit stop, obviously he had a 10-second penalty. Norris had a botched pit stop. Hamilton caught up to him fairly quickly, got past. Bottas let him past, and he caught Leclerc fairly quickly and got past him with 3 laps left. And that's it. Yay. But in terms of the championship, Hamilton has caught up. There's only 8 points in it now. Obviously, Red Bull didn't score any points in the Constructors either. Leclerc did a fantastic job all weekend. He is driver of the day. He led 50 laps. Honestly, with Ferrari where they are, that is a massive achievement. He deserved to be on the podium. Second place. He deserved to win, but second place will do. Bottas was there. Norris was where he has been pretty much all year. Ricciardo and Sainz did fantastic jobs. There was also points for Alonso, Stroll, Ocon and Tsunoda, who did a really good job this weekend. Gasly and Perez probably should have been point scorers, but Gasly had a late puncture and Perez made about 20 pit stops. But Perez did take fastest lap off Lewis Hamilton. Other than that, it's pretty much everyone you'd expect outside of the points. The only other interesting result, apart from Russell finishing 12th, which is really good, is Nikita Mazepin actually finished ahead of Mick Schumacher. So I don't know if that signs he's improving, but they were about a minute off Nicholas Latifi. So Haas, who are not developing the car and this year has been pretty much written off, I'm guessing they're going to keep both drivers for next year because it wouldn't really be fair not to. So that's it really. There's nothing else from the British Grand Prix apart from the obvious. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on what's going to happen with that. I'm presuming nothing, apart from a few bitchy comments both ways. And if you're a British fan, you're just going to side with Hamilton because, and you're probably going to make those comments on various videos that tell you that Hamilton did try to kill Verstappen. Just don't make them. Just keep it to yourself. Just be angry at the person telling you that Hamilton drove into someone. You don't need to write it down. other than that, there really isn't much to say even in terms of the championship. McLaren obviously scoring good points, but Ferrari probably outscored them. I think they did. So the battle between those two teams is still very close. So that was pretty much it. So I will be doing a video on all the other motorsport action from this weekend, probably on Tuesday, and there'll be other videos during the week. So make sure you subscribe for that. Thank you if you already have. My subscriber numbers are going up all the time, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.